نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقولوا راعنا وقولوا انظرنا واسمعوا وللكافرين عذاب أليم ما يود الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب ولا المشركين أن ينزل عليكم من خير من ربكم والله يختص برحمته من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم صدق الله العظيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين يا أيها الذين آمنوا. This is for the first time in Surah Al-Baqarah that we are having these words of Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu. And please note that the whole of the Makki Quran doesn't contain this expression of address to the Muslims. In none of the Makki surahs. This is actually a typical term used to address the Muslim Ummah. And the Muslim Ummah actually was formed at Medina. In Makki surahs, Ya ibadiyallazina amanu, Ya ibadiyallazina asrafu, but not Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. The only exception is Surah Al-Hajj. And about that I have told you that there is a difference of opinion whether that Surah Al-Hajj is Makki or Madani. This is for the first time. And this is to address the Muslim Ummah as a whole, including the Mu'mins, the Muslims, and even the Munafiqeen. They are also included in the Muslim Ummah legally. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la taqulu ra'ina. O you who profess to believe. This is how I prefer to translate it. O you who believe. I think the better expression would be, O you who profess to believe, who claim to believe. La taqulu ra'ina. Don't utter the word ra'ina. This was a social expression among the Arabs. When you were sitting together and somebody was speaking, and maybe that someone has not heard what he said. He used to say that as if you used to say today, excuse me, please give me some concession, ra'ina. So they used to use this word, ra'ina. But the Jews, changed this word to ra'ina. And ra'ina means, oh, our herdsman. So to inflict an insult to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they changed the pronunciation of this word. Just as they changed ata'na to ata'na. And there was very close resemblance. We have just read in the previous session. Sami'na wa asayna. Instead of ata'na. In the same way, instead of ra'ina, they used to say ra'ina. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked the Muslims not to use this word at all, and instead use the other word, unzurna. Just wait for me. Just look towards me. Wasma'u, and you listen with the full attention so that you don't have to use this word. Walil kafirin azabun alim, or for those disbelievers who are using these words instead of the real word, for them is a very painful torment, very painful chastisement. Ma yawaddu alladhina kafaru min ahli al-kitabi wal mushrikeen. None from those who have taken to kufr and disbelief, whether they are from the people of the book, min ahli al-kitab wal mushrikeen, or they are from the idol worshippers, the mushriks, the pagan Arabs. None of them wants or wishes or likes أن ينزل عليكم من خير من ربكم, that some good thing should be sent down to you, O Muslims, from your Lord. This wahi is coming to you, this Quran is being communicated to you. This is the biggest blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Neither the people of the book like it, nor these pagan Arabs like it. Why you have been blessed with such great a benevolence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu yakhtassu bi rahmatihi man yasha. And it is for Allah to decide whom He reserves for His mercy and blessing, whom He chooses for His mercy and blessing. Wallahu dhul fadl azim. And Allah is the owner of great bounty. ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها. We do not abrogate any verse, any ayah, or make it, cause it to be forgotten. نأتي بخير منها, except that we bring a better ayah in that place. Now this is a very important issue, because although the deen of Allah has been the same throughout, the basic teachings of the deen of Allah are the same, from Adam till Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam wa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The deen has been one, but the shariahs, the laws, the rites and rituals, the customs, they have been different. There was different form of salah in the Jewish sharia. There's a different form of salah with us. There were different rules for psalm, for fasting, for the people of Moses alayhi salatu wasalam. There are differences in the rules about psalm in the sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now this changing of sharia means something from the former law has been changed and something has been abrogated, and instead something else, something new has been given. Now the Jews took it, made it an issue of objecting on the sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. If you say that Moses was a prophet of Allah, if you say Torah was the book of Allah, how come? How do you change these things then? Why then change in the sharia? Why this change in the detailed laws of sharia? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had all the knowledge from the very beginning, why didn't He send the total and the final sharia from the very beginning? Now this is the answer to this, because you know, the human kind was undergoing a process of mental, intellectual and social evolution. That process was going on. Hence there was a need of a different, of a evolution in the sharia also. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been changing the rules from time to time, and this is called nasakh, abrogation. And this nasakh is present in Quran also. In the beginning some commandment was given. There was a commandment, keep standing throughout the night, at least 1/3 of it. Ya ayyuhal muzammil qumil layla illa qalila nisfahu wa minqus minhu qalila aw zid alayhi wa rattilil Qur'ana tartila. Keep standing for the half or 2/3 or at least 1/3 of the night. Then it was abrogated. You can't continue with it. It's beyond your power. So actually there are changes during the sharia of Muhammad, the evolution of the sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That is why I said that the blueprint of the sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam we find in Surah Baqarah, then gradually developed into the final form, and that we shall find in Surah Al-Ma'idah. Ma nansakh min ayatin, we don't abrogate any ayah of ours, aw nunsiha, or cause it to be forgotten. Na'ti bi khairin minha, we bring a better one or similar to it, aw misliha. Alam ta'lam anna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Don't you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all powerful? He has the authority to do whatever He likes. Alam ta'lam anna Allah lahu mulku samawati wal ard. Don't you know that all the kingdom and sovereignty of the heavens and the earth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا لَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ مِن وَلِيٍّ وَلَا نَصِيرٍ. And you don't have, and you will not find besides Allah any of your wali. Who is wali? Protector or guardian. Nor you will find any helper. No wali except Allah, no guardian except Allah, no protector except Allah, no helper except Allah. Am turiduna an tasalu rasulakum kama su'ila Musa min qabl. Do you, O Muslims, want to ask your Rasul, just as was asked from Moses alayhi salatu wasalam before this? وَمَنْ يَتَبَدَّلِ الْكُفْرَ بِالْإِيمَانِ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ سَوَاءَ السَّبِيلِ. Whosoever exchanges kufr in place of iman, so he has gone astray from the right path. This ayah can be addressed to the Muslims as well as the Jews, because the Jews demanded from Moses alayhi salatu wasalam, as we read yesterday, لَن نُؤْمِنَ لَكَ حَتَّى نَرَى اللَّهَ جَهْرَةً, We are not going to believe in you unless you show us Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we see Him with our eyes, plainly. So they were making such demands from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also. So are you repeating the same? Is history repeating itself? Do you want to demand from Muhammad also the same thing as you demanded from Moses alayhi salatu wasalam? Secondly, this ayah can be related to the Muslims also, because it is not liked that you go into very finer details of these laws, asking question, if this happens, what will I do? If this thing happens, what shall I do? So asking these questions was forbidden, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He has given some commands and He wants to limit that law to those details, the rest, He has left to you. But if you go on asking and asking and asking, so your freedom will become smaller and smaller and smaller. And you will have more and more and more of burden on you of Sharia. So this is something which a man, he, as if he is adding to his burdens when he is asking questions unnecessarily. There is an example that when, this was declared that every Muslim who can afford, it is a farz, it is his duty to perform Hajj. Now somebody stood up and asked, sir, is it imperative and first to do the Hajj every year? The Prophet just kept quiet. He turned his face, didn't give any reply. He again came to that side. Ya Rasulullah, I asked the question, is performing Hajj necessary first every year? Again the Prophet, kept quiet. For the third time he again asked. Then the Prophet was angry. He angrily replied, if I say yes, it will become imperative for all time to come for every Muslim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want to put burden on you. And you want to add to your burdens. So that can also be in the background of this ayah. أَمْ تُرِيدُونَ أَن تَسْأَلُوا رَسُولَكُمْ كَمَا سُئِلَ مُوسَى مِنْ قَبْلُ وَمَنْ يَتَبَدَّلِ الْكُفْرَ بِالْإِيمَانِ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ سَوَاءَ السَّبِيلِ وَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لَوْ يَرُدُّونَكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ إِيمَانِكُمْ كُفَّارًا. Many among the people of the book, that is the Christians and the Jews, they very much like and desire that they take you back from Iman and make you kafir again, make you disbelievers again. Hasadam min indi anfusihim, out of jealousy only. They know that you are now in a better position. You are in a better place. You are in Iman. But out of jealousy, they don't want to accept Iman themselves. But they want that you should also be deprived of this blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hasada min indi anfusihim min ba'di ma tabayyana lahumul haqq. After that, the haqq, the truth, has been made clear to them. And they clearly recognize the truth. Fa'afu wasfahu. So, keep on forgiving them and ignoring them. It was actually a very basic policy matter that the Prophet ﷺ also wanted, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also given the same instruction here, that after Hijrah, the Prophet wanted ﷺ, and Allah also gave the same direction, to try to have peace with these people, these Jews at Medina. Because now the struggle was to start against the people of Makkah. So don't start any other dispute and conflict as far as possible at Medina. So actually, go on forgiving. Go on ignoring them. Don't argue with them. Don't in every matter question them. So that was the matter of policy that was being given here. Fa'fu anhum. So you go on forgiving them for all their treacheries that is coming in your knowledge. But you just don't bring them to book. Don't investigate. Don't, argue with them. Wasfahu, and just ignore them. Hatta yati Allahu bi amrih. Till that time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings forth His final decision. Final decision will be the triumph of Islam, the superiority of Islam in the Arabian Peninsula. Then these people will also be brought to the book. Inna Allah ala kulli shayin qadir. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is powerful to do everything. Wa aqimu salata wa atu zakah. And you, O Muslims, establish the prayers and you go on paying zakah. وَمَا تُقَدِّمُوا لِأَنفُسِكُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ تَجِدُوهُ عِندَ اللَّهِ. And whatsoever you send forth before you, before dying, you are sending these charities and good deeds of yours towards hereafter. That is your stock for the life hereafter. وَمَا تُقَدِّمُوا لِأَنفُسِكُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ تَجِدُوهُ عِندَ اللَّهِ. Whatever you are sending before you, you will find it with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ. Verily Allah is seeing whatever you are doing. Don't think that whatever you are doing, the good deeds that you are performing are not in the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقَالُوا لَنْ يَدْخُلَ الْجَنَّةَ إِلَّا مَنْ كَانَ هُودًا أَوْ نَصَارَى. And they say, who say? The people of the book, the Jews and the Christians. لَنْ يَدْخُلَ الْجَنَّةَ إِلَّا مَنْ كَانَ هُودًا أَوْ نَصَارَى. Nobody will be able to enter Jannah, paradise, except who is a Jew or a Christian. تِلْكَ أَمَانِيُّهُمْ. This is their wishful thinking. This is their own thinking. These are the ideas framed by themselves. قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Ask them, tell them to bring forth your argument. What proof you have? Bring forth Bible, bring forth Torah, and tell us where it is written in the Torah. قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. If you are truthful. بَلَا مَنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ. Why not? Whosoever submits his face, and face here means will. Whosoever has submitted his face, that is his will, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ. And he is doing it out of sincerity, not hypocritically, not apparently only. Muhsinun, in the most handsome and beautiful way. فَلَهُ أَجْرُهُ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِ وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. For him is his reward ensured, and it is with his Lord. And on them there will be no fear, nor they will have to grieve.